Hello everyone. So today I will talk about how to accelerate CSS development in OutSystems. This is something I get asked a lot, how to improve the way we write CSS in Service Studio and in our applications, and I'll try to explain how I do it in my daily work. So this is the summary, we will create the CSS on our local machine. We will redirect the CSS request to the local server, update the CSS and see the screen update in real time. As a bonus, we will start using Sass to generate the CSS. If you haven't done that yet, so I recommend everyone to start using Sass if you write a lot of CSS in your daily work. What we need? We will need Visual Studio Code. We will need an extension called Requestly. It runs on Chrome. And we can also take a look at Sass documentation. Inside the Visual Studio Code, we will need two extensions. Everything is free, what I'm talking here. So the extension of Live Server and the extension for Live Sass Compiler as well. So let's start with the cool stuff. So in here I have an application, an OutSystems application, developed from a template screen that everyone has access to. This is just for demonstration purposes. This is an out-of-the-box screen with some development, some CSS, some widgets. So the screen is called Account Overview, and the module is called Accelerate CSS. Automatically, I have a theme called Accelerate CSS. And the outcome of this is this application that loads these CSS files. And the CSS I want is this one, which is the CSS from the theme. Nothing to preview because the CSS it's empty. So if I go here again, yeah. So OutSystems UI and then Accelerate CSS. And it's empty. Now I'll go to Visual Studio Code. So I have a folder, an empty folder called Accelerate CSS. I will create a file here, custom code.css. I'll put some CSS here. This is just for demonstration purposes. Okay. Body color red. If this is applied, all the text in my screen will become red. Okay, I want to serve this file, and for that I will use this extension, Live Server. I have it installed here. And to run it, I will click here, Go Live. Automatically this starts a server, and the content of this root, of this server is my folder, custom code CSS. Custom code CSS, and I get this. Just standard CSS. My objective is to put this CSS and inject it here. And then when I see the page, I won't see this, I will see my code. And for that, I will use this extension, Requestly. Okay, HTTP rules, my rules. I will create my first rule, redirect, request, create rule. So this is it. I will say that if the URL contains something, it will redirect to my server. Okay. What do I want to search for? It's this one. I will search for this, and then I will replace with this. I will call it Accelerate CSS. I will save this rule, Ctrl S, successfully created. Done. Okay, I'll close this. I can close this as well, but I'll just leave it open. This I can close. Okay. I will refresh. Okay, what do I see here? A few things. The text is red. That's the first one. From the network tab of the HTTP requests, I see custom code here. And look, this is being loaded from my local server. And the extension is green because it's on. This is on. If I turn this off, I refresh. This is the default. Everything is being loaded normally. If I put this on again and I refresh, this is loading from my localhost. Don't forget that I'm running this. This is running port 5500. If I change this to green, save, come again, refresh. Now it's green because it's loading from here. Font size 3 EMs. Refresh. Well, a few things changed. Whoa, a lot of things changed. Okay. This is sufficient in some cases, but now we need to take it a step further. And the step further is to update the screen without the need for a refresh. Okay, so let's do that. So to update the CSS in real time without the need to refresh the browser, let's look at some settings here on the DevTools. Okay, in the sources, because we are using the requestly extension, now we get this. We are loading the CSS from this file in this location. And to sync edits to the workspace, drop a folder in your sources here. Okay, select folder. I will select the folder Accelerate CSS, which is the folder I'm using in Visual Studio Code. It asks for some permissions. I will say allow. So the content of this folder will be synced in real time. To make sure that this is applied, just to make sure, I will close the tab and I will open it again. Just to make sure, I need to have the DevTools open for everything to work. I am loading the CSS. Okay, so this is the green. This is my Visual Studio Code. And instead of green, I'm going to put here yellow. I'll save. Look, it updated automatically without the need to refresh. And this is it. Magic. Pink. I will say text underline, text decoration underline. Save. Boom. And I can do this pretty much for everything that relates to CSS. Just this saves me half the time. Let's go to the next step. And the next step is using Sass. Sass is CSS with superpowers, like I say in their website. So it's a language that compiles into CSS. And it has the possibility to, well, you can see pretty much everything here. We can use functions, you can use variables, you can use nesting, well, pretty much a lot of cool stuff that will enhance and will accelerate your development of CSS. So one of the things that we can do in Sass is to, well, but before that, let me convert this into Sass. Okay, now this is a Sass file, so I have the icon here, and like I was saying, one of the things we can do is nesting. We can do stuff like this, and I will say that heading 4, font size 3 EM. Okay, something like this. So this is not valid CSS code, but this is valid Sass code. What this will do is this will generate body heading 4 and then do stuff. So this will generate the tag body and will also generate body heading 4, because this is what we have here. So it's much easier to write Sass, it's much more powerful than writing CSS directly. Okay, what do I need to do to transform this Sass code into CSS? Because the browser doesn't understand Sass. The browser only understands CSS. So I have an extension called Live Sass Compiler, and live because it does this automatically when I save the file, and I have here watch Sass, live compilation of Sass. Okay, it's watching the folder. So automatically generated the CSS. So look, body and body heading 4. So it created these two selectors automatically. I'll refresh here just to make sure that everything is synchronized. So I have my font size. I should not write CSS here. The CSS is generated automatically. I just need to update the Sass. So instead of 3, I'll just put here 7. Boom, automatically. I will put here red. Done. So 3 AM red. And well, Sass is very powerful. I'll just do something like darken, a red, and 10. So I'm saying that darkens this color 10%. So it generated code, it generated this. So I can put, I don't know, 18%. And automatically the browser updates and it generated code. So what I can do with this is I can mix Sass and the CSS being injected in the browser in real time. One of the advantages of using Sass is the possibility to split our code in multiple files. You already know from experience that a theme can have thousands of lines. Well, at least hundreds of lines, but most of the times thousands of lines. And it's difficult to manage a file with that many amount of lines. So we can split in different smaller files and then incorporate all those Sass files into one single CSS file. We can do this with partials. So a partial is a file that's called, it starts with underscore, because it will not be outputted into one CSS file. It will be a partial from another Sass file. Imagine from component A, something like this. Component. Okay, component A. Oh, component A. And this is like color red, imagine. Okay, and then you have component B. Font size, I don't know, 3M. Yeah. Okay, so we have two files. Those are smaller files like components, widgets. These are not being compiled into CSS because they start with an underscore. But I can import component A and then import component B. And the output will be component A and component B. So the output will be one single CSS file with everything. So you can have dozens of partial separated files, and the outcome of that will be one single CSS file. So usually this file, it's called index something like that. And it includes everything that you need for your project. So notice the usage of the underscore. I don't need to put underscore here. I don't need to put the extension here. So this is intelligent, the way that Sass works. So it detects that a partial starts with an underscore. But if I put the extension here and the underscore, it also works, but it's not needed. It's intelligent. So I can have something like this. An extra note. ITCSS. What is this? ITCSS stands for Inverted Triangle CSS. And this is the way we organize our partials, our Sass files. We should put our partials from top to bottom, the first ones with a higher reach and the last ones with lower reach, and it becomes more explicit by the order the partials are loaded, because in CSS the order by which they come matters. Let me see if I can find some. Okay, for example here. So you see a Sass file, style Sass, import, 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 everything. So an index file in Sass is something that only has imports. And then you have the several files here for components, for typography, for colors, for whatever you want. Yeah. And again, this is all being updated automatically with a simple save. So let's recap. Write CSS in Visual Studio Code, write Sass that compiles into CSS using this extension, Live Sass Compiler. Use the live server to serve the CSS file. Use requestly to change the HTTP request from the original one coming from Service Studio, from the OutSystems platform, into your local one. And if you use this, you will have your CSS being loaded from your folder. Your folder is in the workspace, or another way to get there is in the sources. It's being updated in real time. It's being synced in real time. And with this, I'll just refresh one more time. Green, 30%. Save and too dark, 10%. Too dark still, 5%. And here we go. We have Sass and update in real time. Let me go back to the presentation. So this is what we need. We already went through everything, and that's it. So get in touch. I have Twitter, I have LinkedIn, I have some articles on Medium. Feel free to reach out, and if you want for me to address different subjects, yeah, let's go. Thank you very much. See you next time.